Hello everyone, it's Myung-Kul. Today I am going to read S6 6063 Rocky Road Trip. Chapter 1. I staggered into Miss Friesel's classroom, carrying my science project in both hands. It was so heavy I couldn't wait to set it down. Carlos, Tim called out. You look like you're carrying a ton. What's in the box? It is just my rock collection, I said, trying not to groan. I found some big ones this weekend. My muscles were starting to quiver. I had to put the book box down soon, or I would have a rock slide on my hands. Thud! I dropped the collection on top of my desk. A cloud of dust puffed out from the side of the box. I guess if you want to rock, you've got to roll, Dorothean said. She and Tim laughed, but I just smiled and shrugged. Dorothean, DA, and Tim know everything about science. They are neck and neck in every science contest we have in class. But this time I was planning to outsmart them. I lifted the lid and looked inside my rock collection box. Wait until you see my new pieces of sandstones, I said. I got 'em from a cliff beside the Saddle River. It's a great spot for rock hounds. Great spot for rock heads? Arnold said, looking confused. Not rock heads, Arnold, rock hounds. You know, people who collect rocks and minerals? Just then Miss Frizzle came into the room carrying a box labeled specimen. She headed for the work table by her desk. Then she turned over the box and out tumbled a whole bunch of rocks and minerals. I ran over to the table to see what was in Miss Frizzle's rock pile. The rocks were pretty cool, but not as cool as my rock collection. I had been gathering rocks for months. Every year, Miss Frizzle gives out a Rock Hound of the Year award to the student with the best science project on rocks and minerals. I was determined to win, and I had a special mystery rock that I was sure could help me do it. The only problem was I didn't know how to identify it. Miss Frizzle, I said, I brought in my own rock collection. Everything is all organized and labeled. Red rocks, colors, the Free said with a wink. Then you can help me sort through this pile. I can help too. Tim quickly added. I did my project on the 3 categories of rocks: igneous, sedimentary, metamorphic. By now, the rest of the kids had gathered around the work table. Miss Frizzle picked up a chunk of rock from the top of the pile. It was black and shiny. Meet Mystery Rock number 1, the Freeze said. Everyone check it out. Then try to guess what it is. Think fast, she added, because this rock is cool. I moved in closer to inspect the rock. It was sleek and glossy, almost like glass. I could tell from its texture what category it belonged to. I was just about to tell everyone when Tim beat me to it. Mystery Rock number 1 is an igneous rock, Tim said. Right, Miss Frizzle? Good detective work, Tim. It's an igneous rock that formed above ground, right? I said, that's why it is so smooth. I wanted to show Miss Frizzle that I knew just as much about rocks as Tim did. Right, Carlos, the Freeze said with a smile. This particular igneous rock is called obsidian. See its sharp edges? Native Americans use obsidian rock to make arrowheads. Cool, Keisha said. She picked up a gray rock from the table. It broke apart in her hands. Oops, she said. What kind of rock was that? It looks like clay, I said, glancing at him to see if he knew the answer too. I think it's a sedimentary rock, like sandstone. Tia looked up from the pad where she had been taking notes. According to my research, some sandstone is red because it has iron oxides in it. Is your hair red because of iron oxides? Miss Frizzle? Keisha asked. No, Keisha, Miss Frizzle said with a grin. My hair is red because my father's hair was red. That's called hereditary. I added. The class groaned. Arnold was eyeing a polished white rock on the table. Is this marble? He asked, giving the rock a careful poke. Tim leaned in to look at it. Before I could speak up, he said, Good call, Arnold. It looks just like the marble sculptures in a museum. Marvelous, Miss Frizzle cried. Marble is a metamorphic rock, DA told us. It is formed from a sedimentary rock called limestone. DA and Tim knew everything about rocks. If this kept going, I would never get the Rock Hound of the Year award. I needed to learn more fast so I could identify my mystery rock. Geologists don't just study rocks. I blurted. They also study minerals. What's the difference? Phoebe asked. Color and texture aren't the only things to look for when you're studying rocks and minerals. Miss Frizzle said there is also a way to test for hardness. We can use Mohs scale, Wanda called out. I'm doing my project on that. Example mineral number 1. Tail, gypsum, calcite, the fluoride, apatite, the feldspar, quartz, topaz, corundum, diamond. Wanda took out a poster she had made comparing the hardness of the 10 different minerals on Mohs scale. She had also included the hardness of some common things we knew, like a fingernail or a piece of glass. The higher the number a mineral has on the scale, the harder it is. Wanda explained, see, topaz has a number of 8. That means it can scratch anything with a low number, but it can be scratched by a mineral with a higher number. Like a diamond, diamonds can scratch almost anything. Dazzling, Miss Frizzle said. Here, Wanda, see if you can do a scratch test to identify which of these minerals is harder. The Freeze handed Wanda 2 mystery specimens. Wanda took the first mineral and scratched it with the second. A white powder fell on the table. The first mineral is definitely softer, Wanda said. Even my fingernail can scratch it. I bet it's tail. Wanda held the second mineral and scratched at it with her fingernail. This one is harder than my fingernail, she said, so it's not gypsum. She took a penny from her pocket, then dug one edge of it into mineral. The penny left a scratch. This might be calcite, number 3 on Mohs scale, Wanda said. Or it could be another mineral that has a similar ranking. Wanda, that was Mohs brilliant. The Freeze said. I couldn't believe that Wanda knew so much about rocks and minerals. Maybe she would be Rock Hound of the Year. I had to get the Freeze attention back fast. Miss Frizzle, I interrupted. There's a rock I have that I can identify. Could I show it to you? There's nothing I love more than a mystery, Freeze said. Where did you find this rock? I ran over to my rock collection and picked up the mystery rock. I found it in our attic. Mom said it was my grandfather's, and he always called it the Bright Angel Rock. Bright Angel? That's interesting. Bright Angel is the name of a trail in the Grand Canyon. I handed my Bright Angel rock to the Freeze. She took one look at it, and her eyes got as round as saucers. What's going on, Miss Frizzle? DA said. Keys. I had never found a rock like this before, but I'd like to find more like it. I think it's time for a field trip. Miss Frizzle had that special sparkle in her eye. Come on, Miss Frizzle, I begged. What kind of rock do you think it is? But the Freeze was too busy to answer me. She was already filling her backpack with rockhound tools. Follow me, Miss Frizzle called as she took off out the door with Liz right behind her. We're headed for the Grand Canyon, and the Rockhound Rocket is waiting for us. Chapter 2. We ran out into the parking lot after Miss Frizzle. She headed straight for the magic school bus, but I thought we were taking a rocket, I said. Just wait till we drive off. I mean, blast off, the Freeze replied. I scrambled into the magic school bus and sat right behind the driver's seat. The rest of the class climbed in after me. Arnold looked even more nervous than usual. Miss Frizzle, he said, don't rockets usually go out into space? I thought we were going to the Grand Canyon. Don't worry, Arnold, Miss Frizzle said. This rocket isn't leaving the third rock from the sun. The third rock from the sun? Where is that? Arnold, we leave on the third rock from the sun, DA said. That's just another name for a planet Earth. The Freeze wrapped up the magic school bus's engine. I noticed that it sounded different, and sometimes something strange was happening to our seat. Suddenly we were leaning back, facing straight up toward the sky. Buckle up, kids, the Freeze ordered. Are you ready for countdown? No. Arnold yelled. Yes, everyone else cheered. Okay, Miss Frizzle said, since this is the Rockhound rocket, we'll count down with the Mohs scale of hardness. Who remembers it? I do. Wanda and I yelled at exactly the same time. Let's hear it. The Freeze said, punching buttons on the control panel. 10, diamond. Wanda and I started the count of 9, corundum, 8, topaz, 7, quartz, 6, the feldspar, 5, spatite, 4, fluoride, 3, calcite, 2, gypsum, 1, talc. Blast off, Miss Frizzle yelled, the pulling down a red lever on the control panel. Suddenly, the Rockhound rocket started to shake. We all grabbed hold of our seats. Then there was a loud roar. Seconds later, the Rockhound rocket blasted off, straight into the sky. I looked out the window. Goodbye, school. Goodbye, Walkerville. Everything kept getting smaller beneath us. The Freeze fiddled with some dials. The Rockhound rocket made a 90-degree turn and zoomed straight toward the west. Grand Canyon, here we come, I yelled. Where are we going? Up, up, and away. I don't care where we are going, Arnold moaned. As long as I end up on rock-solid Earth. Miss Frizzle, why is it called the Grand Canyon? Phoebe asked. Is it the grandest canyon of all? I know the answer to that, Keisha said. I did my science report on the Grand Canyon. I was watching out the window to see if we were coming to the canyon. I wanted to be the first to see it. I couldn't wait to spot a clue that would help me identify my mystery rock. The Rockhound rocket was zooming over a desert. I saw some amazing rock formations down below, but then I saw something that blew my mind away. We were coming up on a big hole in the ground. It was so huge I couldn't even see the end of it. Wow, I yelled, that's a whole lot of hole. Everybody leaned over to look out the window. It looks like a big crack in the earth. Wanda said, that's not a crack or a hole. DA informed us. It's the Grand Canyon, Miss Frizzle. Arnold said in a shaky voice, we all might crack up if you don't do something about this crazy rocket. It looks like we are headed straight into the canyon. Whoops. Taking a look at where the Rockhound rocket was headed. You're right, Arnold. We're headed to rock bottom. But the Freeze didn't seem worried. He just grinned and punched the button on the control panel. I looked out the window, saw the Grand Canyon coming closer and closer. What did the Freeze have up his sleeve? We're about to find out. We're about to find out. The Rockhound rocket started to shake. Just as we were zooming into the canyon, the rocket turned into a helicopter, the Magic School helicopter. We almost lost our stomachs as the helicopter came to a stop and then hovered in the air. We had just caught our breath when Miss Frizzle hit the gas and we took off again. The Magic School helicopter buzzed through the Grand Canyon like a big insect. First, we cruised along the south rim, then we buzzed over to the north rim. Tourists standing along the edge of the canyon waved to us. The walls of the canyon looked like a rainbow, Ralphie said. Why do the rocks have all those stripes of color? We all crowded around the helicopter's window to look at the canyon layers. The freeze kept dropping us down deeper and deeper into the canyon. The colors were amazing. We saw layers that were rusty red, creamy white, purple gray, green, dark brown, and tan. Tim even spotted some inky black rocks on the canyon floor. The whole time I was looking for some bright colored rock, like my bright angel rock, but I never saw it. Maybe I would have to do a close-up inspection. Hey, Miss Frizzle, I said, why don't we zoom back up to the top of the canyon? Maybe we should look for bright angel up there. Bright idea, Carlos, the freeze said. She pulled the lever and the Magic School helicopter rose up out of the canyon. I watched the limestone, sandstone, and shale zoom by us at the top of the canyon. The freeze brought the helicopter down for the landing near the edge of the south rim. We all climbed out of the copter, happy to be on solid ground again. But did we ever get a surprise? Standing only a few yards away from a helicopter was a National Park ranger. She was leading a pack of mules toward the canyon edge. I read the sign that pointed to a trail down into the canyon. Bright Angel Trail, I read aloud. This is it. We found it. Chapter 3. Hi, Miss Frizzle, the park ranger said. The mules are all ready for you. The freeze looked at the amazed expressions on our faces and smiled. Kids, meet Marita Chi. She's a park ranger here at the Grand Canyon. I called her before we left school to let her know we wanted to ride down Bright Angel Trail. We all said hi to Marita. She had big brown eyes and a ponytail of black hair hanging from the back of the ranger hat. I'm Carlos, I said. My aunt's name is Marita. Are you from Mexico too? My mother's family came from Mexico. Marita explained, but my father's family has lived in Arizona for a long time. The Chis are Native Americans. Later, I'll show you where my ancestor lived. I wanted to know, Marita, my bright angel rock, but Miss Frizzle had other plans. Okay, kids, the freeze said, it's time to settle up. Miss Frizzle, we aren't going to ride into the canyon, are we? No way am I doing that. Come on, Arnold, I said. Don't be stubborn as a mule. Climb on. Arnold just looked at me. He shook his head. No one likes my jokes as much as I do. Well, I was more than willing to take the reins, but I put my foot in a stirrup and swung up onto the mule. Suddenly, I had a perfect view of the canyon in front of us. It looked like a bottomless pit, a deep, dark, bottomless pit. Do these mules know what they are doing? I asked Marita. Not one of them has lost its balance yet. Marita said with a twinkle in her eyes. I'm not so sure about this, Arnold said as a mule train started down the canyon. Part of me agreed with him. The path was steep. The Marita led the way on her mule. I was next in line behind her. Arnold and Miss Frizzle brought up the rear. I looked around and felt like I was in Rockhound paradise. Bright Angel Trail zigzagged down the canyon. Sometimes we rode through tunnels in the rock. Sometimes the mules had to pick their way around big stone formations. Sometimes the trail was so narrow that our mules barely fit on it. Then Marita brought a mule to a stop. All the other mules stopped too. Look at the canyon all beside you, she said, then run your hand across it. What do you see and feel? I took a close look at the grayish white wall. I knew it was a sedimentary rock because I could see how it had formed in layers. The rock had all kinds of things in it. I see a shell. DA said, there's a fish bone. Ralphie added. I see a trilobite. I said proudly. Does it bite? Arnold asked nervously. Trilobite can hurt you, I said. It's been dead for a long time. That's true, Carlos. Hundreds of millions of years ago, when this land was covered in water, insect-like sea creatures called trilobites ruled the earth. There's nothing left of them now but the fossils. They're not the only creatures that left a rocky record in sedimentary stone. There are a lot more fossils deeper in the canyon, Marita said. Then she kicked the heels against the mule's side. Giddy up! She said to her mule. Seconds later, we are all on our way down the canyon again. The temperature was getting hotter and hotter as we rode deeper and deeper into the canyon. The only sounds we could hear were the calls of birds and the rush of the Colorado River below us. Marita told us the story of the canyon as we went down. She described how wind and water had carved away the rock over millions and millions of years. This ride has seemed like a million years already, Arnold said, wiping the sweat off his brow. As we neared the river at the bottom, we heard a strange rumble echo through the canyon. The Marita stopped the mule train and looked up at the sky. We all looked up too. A flash of lightning zigzagged across the sky. Big dark clouds could cover the sun. Thunder roared through the canyon again. The rain started falling so fast that my shirt was soaked in seconds. Miss Frizzle, the Marita called out, we have to get out of here. A flash flood could happen at any minute. The freeze wasted no time. She whipped the remote control out of her pocket. She aimed it at the top of the Bright Angel Trail, where we had begun our ride. We watched as she pushed the red button. In a minute, we heard a chop, chop, chop sound echo in the canyon. It's the copter, DA said. We all looked up. The Magic School helicopter was zooming down the canyon to our rescue. It landed on the trail, right behind Miss Frizzle. Get off your mules, Marita yelled. We have got to get out of here. The mules can run up the trail easier without carrying us. Arnold slid off his mule, and he took off like crazy up the canyon trail. The rest of our mules followed it. Just then we heard a terrible roar coming down the canyon from the northeast. What is that sound? I asked Marita. Marita's face had turned pale. Flash flood. The end.